Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players, uncover their stories, and discover what makes them tick. If you love guitar, music, and the backstory of people's lives, stick around. You're in the right place. The Be Fulfilled Journal helps you be more honest with yourself and with others and be more open to handling things you've avoided dealing with for years. It's a 12-week online and journal program that helps you identify and eliminate things you do that are causing you stress and live in more gratitude and joy. It was actually developed by a long-term friend of mine who got sober in 2008, and he's put together a great deal just for my listeners. You get the 300-page hardcover journal and access to the 12-week video program online, plus free shipping, plus membership in a private Facebook support group with others going through the program, plus a 5-day mini course showing you how to let go of stuff that's draining your energy, plus a 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. To start your journey and get all the bonuses, go to BeFulfilledJournal.com/ELG. That's BeFulfilledJournal.com/ELG. For information about advertising on Everyone Loves Guitar, including information on geographically targeted ads, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, and we are with the one and only Ally Handal out of California. It sounded like I said Alejandro. Ally Handal. Ally named her first kitten Carol after her musical inspiration, Carole King. And over the years, the sweet melodies and lyrics penned by musical sages Carole King, Bob Dylan, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney captivated her. She had an epiphany when, as a teenager, she heard Zeppelin for the first time. She was mesmerized by Jimmy Page's seductive guitar riffs, and she quit piano lessons to pick up the guitar. She's based in LA and holds her own among the ranks of fierce female performing songwriters like Annie DeFranco and formidable guitarists like Jimmy Page. Her songs have been featured in numerous films and hit shows like Sex the Cit, Dawson's Creek, and iCarly. Man, I used to watch that, or not watch. I remember my daughter used to watch that. She was possessed by it. She's toured Australia, Japan, and beyond, provided backing vocals for Neil Young, and shared the stage with songwriting legend Paul Williams as his featured vocalist. She's a published author. She wrote Guitar Girls, published by Hal Leonard, which is an exceptional guitar method book and CD with advice for aspiring female musicians, as well as mental support, encouraging quotes and songs from female songwriters in all genres. Her fourth full-length album was produced by four-time Grammy Award winner Seth Haran. It's called That's What She Said. She's got a few really cheeky songs in there, like I Love My Pussy Cat. Okay, I'll say it like she does. I love my pussy cat, and thank God for birth control. This like what song titles men would never have. That's
why it's called That's What She Said.
Right, I get it. And also, You Get What You Settle For. That's a good one. And Better Man. They're chock full of an older sister's tough love and the wisdom Ally has gained as she's evolved as an artist and a woman. And I butcher these, and I'm 500 episodes later, I still butcher these. I'm sorry. I hope I did you justice. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
What did you mean in your bio when you said chock full of an older sister's tough love?
Well, I didn't write my bio, but my publicist wrote my bio.
This is why they bumble out of my mouth, because they're not written by they're formatted and blah, blah, blah. That's another subject. Anyway, go ahead. Sister's tough love, older sister's tough love.
I think what she meant was.
See, this is the problem. We don't even, conceptual older sister?
I am an older sister.
Right.
I do have two younger sisters.
Right.
And I did write a song for one of my younger sisters on a previous record. But I think, a lot of this most recent record is kind of advice. Like the single is called "You Get What You Settle For," and that's definitely advice. My best advice, kind of in life. Yeah, not just for relationships.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
So I kind of, in my songwriting, I like to give advice to myself, and then sometimes it's helpful to other people, you know.
No, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, it's a lot easier to even give yourself advice when you step out, when you're like a third party.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could always hear things better from somebody else.
Yeah.
I totally get that. So let's talk about two of the songs, or a couple of songs. I Love My Pussycat. What is the back? So the song goes, I love my pussy cat. What's the back? See, now that's one of the songs. If a guy wrote that, holy shit would break loose.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even make sense for a guy to write that.
I know, but still, what's the backstory to that?
The backstory to that song. Okay. There's a really long backstory to that song, in that my first record, I put out in 2000, and there's a song called Indie on it, which features my cat, who is no longer with us. R.I.P.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It's been a long time. Indy, and he's meowing all over the song. It's the same music, but completely different words. And it's, you know, the chorus is like, Indy, baby. And he's meowing. I followed him around with a microphone, and he's meowing. I only had to pitch shift him like once, you know, he was pretty in tune, you know, and we got him purring and all this stuff. And I love doing that song at my shows because I'll have my fans meow, and it's really fun.
Oh, that is cool.
But thanks. But it wasn't a very, it's very particular to my cat, Indy. And so I really love doing that song, but I wanted a kind of a more universal cat type of song. And then I ended up writing this one, which, you know, the lyrics are very different, but still kind of about loving a cat-ish, you know, the double entendre.
Yeah, a lot of double entendre.
There's still a cat meowing on it. That one was Pumpkin, Indy's sister, who lived longer than Indy did.
It's horrible when your animals die, isn't it? I've had a bunch
in
the last 3 years.
Worst. Me too. It's the worst. But now I've got two, I call them kittens, but now they're a year old each, and they're so vital and full of life. Yeah. And it's been so long. I had like 18 and 20-year-old cats for so long, and they're so frail. And these guys are just like all like muscle and fur and jumping, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, there's nothing like a little kitten. If you can't be happy around a kitten, man, you got problems.
That's why I believe in kittens for all when I run for president.
I'll vote for you.
One kitten per person.
I'll vote for you. Yeah. And then you have another top title song on Man Would Never Write called Thank God for Birth Control.
Why would a man never write that?
They wouldn't be against it. It's just nothing that they would write. It'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like writing a song about knitting. It's just not a song that a guy would probably write.
I wouldn't write a song about knitting either. So.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, come on, Ally, work with me here. So what's the backstory to that? I mean, obviously it's humorous and.
Yeah. I mean, that's a humorous song, but about something I feel very strongly about personally, which is the freedom to have access to birth control, which is something that's actually being limited in this country and in other countries. But I feel very strongly that women everywhere should have access to birth control. If you get into the whole history of things and the geopolitics of it, women who have access to birth control tend to become more educated because they don't have kids, you know, when they're 14, 15 years old. Sure. And societies become wealthier. It's a whole thing, but I just believe in women having the, you know, freedom to have kids or not, which I've chosen not to have kids. And I'm super, super grateful that I don't have kids. And I am. I love that I don't have kids. No,
I don't think there's anything.
My nieces and nephews.
I'm laughing because I've got 3 and it's a ton of work.
Right. Yeah. And it's, I think a lot of people, I don't understand how they don't know how much work it is before they get into it. But I've heard from people like, I didn't think it'd be this hard. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Socializing a human being is like the hardest thing you can do in the world.
It really is. I think being a mom, honestly, is probably one of the toughest jobs in the world.
I agree.
Really
and
is.
Not everybody should do it. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, there were all these like after school specials about child abuse, and I didn't know what child abuse was. Thank God I wasn't abused as a child. I came from a really nice family. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, now that people know about it and people are talking about it, it'll never happen again. And that is just so not true. Like,
that's
there
not
are
true.
Still tons of people having kids and who don't really want them. And they're having them out of some sort of sense of weird obligation. And I feel like no one should be obligated to have kids. You should only have them if you really, really want them and are going to treat them with love and respect. And, I really believe in that. And I love my nieces and nephews. I just didn't want my own kids.
I mean, it's good that you didn't have them.
No, I know. It's really good that I didn't have them.
But, I mean, what I'm saying is I wanted them, and it's like, oh my God.
Exactly.
It's like,
right.
It's
a lot. Even if you have wonderful kids, it can be really tough. Everybody has, I remember what it was like. That's the other thing. Like, a lot of people look at their childhoods and they wish they could go back. I don't. Like, I really love being an adult and like getting to choose what I do with my time and getting to pick my own food. And, like, I have no desire to relive my childhood through kids whatsoever. Yeah. And I know some people that really appeals to them, and I don't ever want to see another elementary school.
No, I feel the same way. And I'm like allergic to that. I love my kids but I'm not like, I'd rather have cats.
Yeah, me too. Which I do.
Yeah. What's interesting because, we always see, like, I think it's hard to even think about, things like child abuse because I see people that they treat their animals so poorly, like they never walk their dog, or, they've got a 75-pound dog and they let it out to take a pee right in front of their house and they bring him back. I see that shit all day long and it's like, what the hell, man, But anyway.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then Last Lullaby. That's a really beautiful song.
Thank you.
Really pretty.
Thank you. Well, the story from that song was actually, I wrote that song the night that my cat Indy died, and he died in my arms. Yeah, and I ended up rewriting it for this record so that it didn't just apply to a cat. But when I first wrote it, the words were a teeny bit different. And he was my soul kitty. Like, people have certain animals that are very close to them. I mean, he was definitely my soul kitty. And so when he died, it was literally in my arms, and it was just so heart wrenching. And, for me, he was my little baby. So I wrote that song, I started that night, and that's what it was about. But I ended up kind of expanding the lyrics so that it could include, death of a loved one, a grandparent, or, in my case, it was like a child, but, I write about death a lot.
That's okay. Hey, everybody's got to work some shit out somehow, right? If you're working out through your music, why not,
Exactly.
Was it like kidney stuff? Because that's what older cats tend to get.
Yeah. He had chronic kidney failure. I had 3 cats that I gave daily
saline
injections to. Yeah, I'm an expert. I should be a vet tech.
I did some of that. It's really tough, man. They just fade out. And that's a downer. Yeah. Let's talk about something more positive, like working with Neil Young. What was that like, and how'd you get that gig in the first place?
It was such a crazy thing. It was part of, it's one of the reasons I live in LA, because it could only happen in LA. The night before the gig, it was a recording session at Capitol Records, like Studio A, where Frank Sinatra did all of his amazing records. And I got a call from a girlfriend of mine, another singer. And she said, "Hey, would you be interested in a session tomorrow? It's for a Neil Young record." And I was like, yeah, and it was this huge choir, 100 people, for session singers from all over LA. And it was for his Living with War record. That was an anti-war record. But it was an amazing experience. Neil Young actually came in and was helping the vocal contractor, teaching us all the lyrics. We had never heard any of these songs before. So they would just, write them up on, in the front, and we would just kind of sing along, and he'd tell us what harmonies to sing. And it was great. He was wonderful. And
did you get to talk with him at all? Or?
Not too much. Like, I got to meet him afterwards and got a picture with him, but not so much. It was more of a big group kind of thing. But they made a film of that session and that whole tour that he did. And
On
And I think
YouTube?
no, like a film that was in the
like a
theaters
proper
and
DVD.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, wow.
Yeah, I went and saw it with my mom in the theaters, and my mom's like, "There you are, in the studio."
That's really
So
cool.
it was really neat. Yeah, so I mean, we did like 12 songs in a day, so
Oh my God, that's
it was a lot. Yeah, it was just all the background stuff, but a lot of it was in unison, and with some of it we just made up our own harmonies. And at one point, I really felt like it was like Pink Floyd's The Wall, like, we don't
yeah.
need no, like it really felt like that, and that was really fun.
That's cool. Very cool.
That was neat.
You've done some sync licensing also. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, from the beginning of my career as a solo artist, I've had songs in TV shows and film, and that was kind of the way I was making money more than touring, or selling CDs back in the day. So those came about. The first few came about through my producer, who kind of taught me all about it. And back then, he was really kind of involved in that. He had been a music supervisor, who's the person who kind of looks for songs for films. And so he was pushing that, and he kind of educated me all about that. So ever since then, I've really looked at getting licensing,
Do you like actively look to do more of that? I mean, or are you active in that now regularly, or only like when it comes up? Or
yeah, I actually, funny you should ask. So one of the other things that I do in addition to recording and performing and all that is 13 years ago, I actually co-founded a music licensing company with another artist friend.
good for you.
Two artist friends of mine. Yeah, and we license music from artists all over the world to different companies and film and TV and all kinds of stuff. But that's not just my music. That's really music from everywhere. And that business,
you do really, placements or
yeah.
Okay.
But not in the traditional sense that you were probably thinking of, because we're very, we found a niche market.
That's great.
And yeah, we do a lot of stuff. I mean, we've done, a lot of marketing videos for brands like Hugo Boss and Harley Davidson and things like that.
That's great. That's a really nice little niche, and you're working with companies that could pay too. You're not working with,
Right. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
That's the thing in music that is so challenging. It's really hard to get paid as an artist. And I know, so many of my friends and just incredibly talented people have such a hard time making a living. So having this other source of income has really enabled me to just do the music gigs that I want to do.
Yeah.
So I used to do a lot of like kind of session stuff as a singer that really was soul sucking. And I stopped doing all of that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations. That's really good. Do you have any other side hustles besides that?
No, that's it. And that's,
well, it's cool.
It's already taken up so much more time than I would like. It's so hard, to balance everything. Yes, I'm very, very busy. Very busy.
And it's good that you found a little niche, and I'm not going to ask you what it was, but because it's, I get it. But that's the smartest thing. Like as a guy who runs a marketing company, that's what you got to do. I mean, that's what this show is. It's a niche show, right? Yeah. I mean, I have some 10% of my guests are not guitar players, but the vibe of it, it's a sort of a niche. And I think it's important that, you have that, because that's a differential for you that nobody else has. We specialize in X, whatever that is.
Right. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Well, and sometimes you come on your niche kind of accidentally. And I mean, I think it's true for artists as well, like to really find your tribe of people who love you. And like, for me, it's been a lot of the people who have found me, excuse me, have been other guitar players, but people who maybe aren't doing it professionally, but just love the guitar, and they grew up on the same music I grew up on, like that kind of classic rock kind of stuff, real guitar oriented music. Those tend to be a lot of my fans.
You do a lot of traveling overseas, or you have in the past.
I have. Yeah. I love it.
Do you book your own tours, or do you work with a booking agent?
Right now I'm between booking agents and would really love to work with a new one. My Australia tour was really interesting in just kind of one of these flukes where I met someone at South by Southwest who decided he wanted to bring me over and book everything.
Holy shit. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. Wow.
I was literally on a street corner with Cindy Alexander, who's another artist friend of mine who I've played for. And she had brought me out to South by Southwest to play for her. And he just met us, and we were playing our songs on the street corner in front of some barbecue. And 7 years later, he emailed me. He's like, "It's time for you to come to Australia." I'm like, "Okay." And he booked this 3-week tour for me, and it was amazing.
Wow.
So I'd love to get back to Australia. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
So if you're a booking agent listening, and come on, let's vet them out. What do you need? What do you not need? Like, what do you want? What do you not want?
What do I want? Listening room gigs. That's the thing. And so I've been really working on building up my fan base, because, anybody can book a tour of bars, where you play 3 hours a night and you're doing a lot of cover stuff, but that's not really what I'm interested in. I'm definitely a songwriter, and I like to sing to people who are listening. So I've been taking this year to really just kind of get my fan base bigger and more attractive to booking agents, so that fan base is all my fans. You got to get more attractive. That's not what I meant.
No, you want to be able to, when someone comes to say, how many people can you put in this room? You could say X based on, that's how it works, man.
Yeah. And so to be able to play those listening rooms, or to open to, really to open for another artist in those listening rooms where I can contribute by having great music and also, bringing people to the show. That's really my vision for next year. So I would love to get back on the road, but I really want to do it in a different way than before, in a more meaningful way, and to really listening rooms. And, so that's a very specific kind of gig.
Good. So if you're a booking agent and you're a match, go to allyhandal.com and contact them, right? That's the best way?
Yeah.
Handal, Ally, L-I. All right. So where did you originally grow up?
I grew up in New York and in Northern California.
I thought you were originally from New York. I didn't say anything.
Yeah, originally from New York.
I thought
Armonk, New York.
Yeah, that's where IBM used to be, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, headquarters of IBM.
I knew you had that New York thing.
Yeah, I don't have the accent.
No, neither do I. I don't think I do.
Yeah,
but
no, you don't.
You felt East Coast.
People say that to me all the time, and I have no idea what that means.
It's just a different vibe.
Huh.
It's not that one's bad. Well, I always think that the East Coast is a better vibe. Like if I'm honest, that's because I'm from there. But it's just a thing. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I get that from people a lot. Actually, they're like, "Oh yeah, you are from the East Coast." Oh,
well, you just like a little faster pace, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I grew up it was like we had woods in our backyard. I mean, I didn't grow up in the city.
Right. So. But still, I don't know. I can't explain it. I knew, I had my radar.
Yeah. You knew.
And then after that, you say you were in Virginia?
Yeah. My family moved to Northern California.
Oh, okay.
Little town called Lafayette, California. And I went to high school there. And that's where I met the boy who introduced me to, boys with long hair who play guitar and Led Zeppelin. So I was like, screw these piano lessons.
That's cool.
So boring. I want to play guitar. It's cool.
It's very pretty up there in Northern California, isn't it?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
I've not been there, but my wife
really
has.
Beautiful. Yeah.
What was your childhood like growing up?
It was good. I grew up in, a beautiful part of New York State, and then a beautiful part of Northern California. I was the oldest of 3 girls.
Oh my God. What did your dad do in a prior life? Holy.
Well, he was one of 5 boys, so I feel way more bad for my grandmother than for my dad.
Wow. Yeah.
5 boys. Oh my God. But, no, I was an angel, I'll have you know. No, not an angel. But actually, I was a straight A student. I was a perfectionist. And I call myself a recovering perfectionist now, because perfectionism is horrible.
Yeah.
But I was a straight A student. And the only way I really rebelled was and my dad was, my parents got separated when I was 15. And I guess not so coincidentally, I started, I am getting a little boy crazy. And so that was kind of my way of acting out, was going to shows and, I mean, going to shows wasn't acting out. But I went to see every single hard rock band that came through town when I was a kid. Like
that was your thing.
Yeah, it was totally my thing. Yeah. And I played guitar in my room, and I remember like I was pretty depressed too as a person, not just as a kid, but I remember being pretty depressed as a high school student, and like just listening. Music was really cathartic for me. So I would listen to like Fade to Black by Metallica and like learn that guitar solo and like listen to it over and over and over and like just listen to music and it helped me to feel less alone, to listen to other kind of sad music.
It's an interesting thing about being a guitar player that I've noticed, and this is extremely consistent. Your job is to go on stage and in some cases entertain maybe 70, 80, 90, 100, 200,000 people. And the way you get to be good at that job is by being completely isolated in a room, seriously, for like fucking 10 years and never leaving and just playing that alone.
Yeah.
Isn't that a weird like dichotomy?
It is, but I think there's
the preparation for that is like, there's so many fast moving parts about being a professional musician. The preparation is really weird.
It is. But I mean, I wasn't a loner, and I had a lot of friends. I went to parties. I mean, I didn't,
okay.
I was really naive though. Like I went to like parties that my friends had, but it wasn't until I was like a senior, it was like senior year of high school. I went to a party where all these kids who were in my like advanced English classes and stuff, they were all getting wasted. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. I was like a straight A student, but I went to concerts and I had boyfriends and stuff. So that was like my thing. But I had no idea that all these people who thought that I was a total stoner because I was hanging out with all the Metallica kids, they all thought that I was like some whatever. And they're the ones who were totally getting wasted every single weekend.
That's funny.
No idea. I was so naive because I was the oldest. And so I didn't have any older brothers or sisters to kind of tell me how things were. I had no idea. I was so naive. And I just, I was so surprised that all these people who looked like total goody two-shoes were not. And me, who people thought, must be doing drugs and stuff, I totally wasn't,
That's funny.
Just listening. I was really into the music for the music, not for the scene.
Yeah.
So that was a little different.
All right. So since you brought up, I'll ask you, do you remember the first time you smoked weed?
Yes. I was in a parking lot in high school with my friend Amanda, who was a terrible influence on me. And I felt like I was walking on clouds.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, but I don't like to smoke anything, especially being a singer.
Oh.
So like that wasn't really my thing so much.
So when the vape finally came along, you were just like,
no, yeah. And I had some pretty bad experiences with, I've had some bad experiences with boyfriends and stuff who were full on potheads who would lie to me and all this kind of stuff. So I have some kind of bad associations that I'm actually trying to break now with weed because logically I know it's not bad and it can be actually really helpful to creativity, and like so many of the people that I admire, love it.
But if you have experiences, it's like it's also not like hard. Essential to your life.
No,
you're like, oh my God, if I don't smoke, I mean, like,
no, not at all.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. No, I think some things are just like if you're not comfortable with it, it's like that's it.
That's just another way to relax, and different people have different brain chemistry. I definitely have a different kind of brain chemistry than the average person who's really into pot. It
was really funny that weed is not legal here. So when I was in California about a month ago, or maybe 6 weeks ago, on a business trip, my really close friend of mine that I never get to see, I hooked up with him. He's in San Diego, and so we went to a dispensary for research purposes only. And we got in there. It was like literally 5 minutes to 9, and they all close at 9. Apparently, I guess that must be the rule.
Oh, really? Up in LA, some of them are up until 10.
Okay, well, in San Diego, they all close at 9, which
yeah.
it's got to be a rule, because if I owned a weed store, that motherfucker would be 24/7. Let me tell you
totally.
right now.
Yeah, no, there's regulations and stuff.
And so we walk in, and like, first of all, when we go in, is these two massive human beings strapped with guns, and they're like,
how?
I mean, they go, do you know what you want? I'm like, no. They go, then don't come in unless you can make up your mind. I'm like, okay, we'll see you later.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
that's not normal.
I'm
They're
like,
so much nicer here in LA.
I was like, and I said,
they want
okay.
your business in LA.
I was just like, okay. I'm like, I'm not going to be pressured. I don't know what the hell I mean.
That's really weird.
And I'm like, and he goes, oh, no. You can come back. I'm like, wow, that was like a big ADD turnaround. But
yeah, that's odd.
It was weird. But the whole
usually they're so nice.
Well, this is security. It was, and they're like 5 minutes. I got to get out of, that kind of thing.
They just want to get out.
And but it was just a different, because we don't have them here, so it was a really different experience.
Did you get to see all the different products? It's
unbelievable. My God. It
yeah.
was like incredible.
They have sprays and balms and tinctures. I don't even know what a tincture is. And they have tinctures, and they have brownies and cookies and gummies and
it was
gum. And
I think a tincture is like a drops and
put under your tongue.
Yeah, right. So I actually got some of that from
homeopathic weed.
Yeah, it was basically homeopathic weed, right? And but the whole thing was just, it was because we don't have them here. So it was like, it was like a new puppy or something like that.
It is. It's amazing. Yeah. And they'll educate you too about all the different things.
Oh, they educated me way more than I needed. It was, I just wanted like the Cliff Notes, and I got the whole history of it.
Yeah.
What were some of maybe the low points or darker periods you've had to deal with in your life, and how'd you get through them?
Well, in my life, definitely my parents' divorce was a huge dark period for me. That was really hard. But I've had depression pretty much since I was a teenager, and just dealing with that, for a really long time, I resisted. I was in therapy. My parents basically, when they got divorced, they basically stuck me in therapy, which was great. But, I was also depressed, and that was a whole separate thing. And so I'd had a lot of experience in therapy and worked through some stuff, but really could not. I always would, and the perfectionism was a really hard thing too. All through school, even through college, I got straight A's, except for I got like a B+, which like really ticked me off at the time. And that wasn't because I was so smart. I worked my ass off, and I'm smart, but I really worked my ass off, and it was because I couldn't let myself not be perfect. But that's a really bad mindset, and it's not good for being happy.
Yes, it's almost like it's almost like a feeder for depression in a sense. Yeah,
it is.
It's like that standard is
what's not perfect. You should be called an imperfectionist, because you're always looking at what's not perfect about what you're doing. And I would compare myself. I mean, it happened with guitar also. Like, oh my God, when I was learning guitar, I sucked in the beginning. Like everyone sucks. Everybody, But I compared myself to Jimmy Page, and I compared myself to, people who were amazing and all, doing it professionally. And I was, 15, 16, and I wasn't good. And I really wanted to be good at soloing. And I sucked, and I quit because I sucked. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not good. And it wasn't until I had a boyfriend who played guitar. Pretty much all my boyfriends played guitar, but I had a boyfriend who played guitar, and he said, "You've got to be willing to suck," and that was not like a sexual thing. He was like, "You got to be willing to suck at the guitar, and you've got to play through it, and you've got to hear yourself suck, and one day you're going to wake up and you're not going to suck anymore." And that's exactly what happened. But I needed someone to actually tell me that, because I just thought I wasn't good. And I had put down the guitar in college, and I was actually at UCLA, straight A student in the honors program for psychology. I was going to go get a PhD in psychology. Oh,
that's the worst thing you could do. Oh my God.
I was going to become a therapist, right?
Oh my God.
Right, exactly. And I was writing a paper, or I was going to be a researcher. I was writing a paper and I was like, I hate this. I hate writing papers. And I was really depressed, and I just wanted to be a guitar player. And I had put down the guitar. I hadn't played for years. And because I just thought I wasn't any good. And I was like, you know what? I have to stop dating these people who are doing what I want to do and start doing it myself. Stop dating guys who play guitar and start playing guitar. And even if I suck, I just had to do it because I was so miserable. And so I did graduate, and then I took a year and joined a band and and then I gave myself like repetitive motion problems with my wrists, like carpal tunnel type of thing, because me being the perfectionist, I sat down and was like, okay, New Year's Eve, I'm going to start practicing 8 hours a day. And people warned me against it, and didn't listen to them. And I started practicing 8 hours a day because I wanted to get really fast. And this is because I was so influenced by all these, technical people.
Sure.
And so within a couple months, I completely blew out my wrists, and like both of them. And it was crazy. And so that was a whole other period, which was very depressing too. But I got through it. And after like another couple of years, my wrists were better. I don't have any problems with that anymore. I never learned how to be super crazy fast. I never was an Yngwie. I was never Eddie Van Halen. But I developed a style of playing that's definitely, I would say, among more sloppy, I guess I would say, and more bluesy, more like
Jimmy Page.
Along the lines of Jimmy Page and Aerosmith and that kind of thing, which was really my favorite music that I still absolutely love. And I thought, it's weird. I still have a thing in my brain because my brain is so unhealthy if I let it just kind of go unfettered. Like, well, telling me like, oh, if you can't play that way, then you're not really good. If you can't play like Yngwie or whatever. And it's like, I'm kind of glad I can't, because the people who can play like that feel like they have to stick it into every part of every song. And it's really, especially nowadays, like that's just not, it sounds really dated. It's a very dated style of playing. I mean, I have friends who can play like that, and they choose, they're amazing, and they're definitely, they have taste and whatever. So that's not true all the way around, but it is an interesting thing that, somebody who listens to a ton of music, especially by independent artists, I can tell when somebody was kind of raised listening to that kind of music. I'm like, yeah, that solo doesn't fit here right now,
Yeah, you got to serve the song.
You have to serve the song. And I mean, that's something that took me a long time to learn anyway, even if I couldn't play that way. But so anyway, that's kind of a long way of saying I've had a lifelong battle with depression, and really, I had a thing again. I really didn't want to take medication because I felt like I should be stronger. And that was such a backwards way of looking at it. Like, I'm on meds now, and it's a lifesaver for me. It makes my life worth living. And I've done so much work on myself, like psychologically.
Because you're a perfectionist, you can't stop doing the work.
Like, I've done all the work, and it still didn't make enough of a difference. And I actually tried to get off my meds last year after having done a ton of work and all stuff. And I got to the point where I was almost suicidal, not suicidal, but God, thinking about dying. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with my life is awesome. Like, I know logically, like, my life is so great. Like, I have a husband who adores me. I have this wonderful career, but all I could see was where I was not enough, and where I wasn't doing enough, and where I was failing, and where I didn't have this and I didn't have that. And yes, it's a way of looking at it, but for me, it was so chemical, because as soon as I started taking the meds again, I was able to have perspective. And it's not like I don't still get, down and feel like, oh, I need to do better. But it's just, I have a normal perspective about my life. And I really feel, I'm able to feel happy and feel sad, rather than just have this black outlook which is completely not resonating with reality.
Wow. So, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. It was really, really cool and kind of you. And a bunch of things come to mind. First is that I'm really glad you brought up mental illness because it's a pretty not uncommon problem.
Oh my God. Everyone I know is dealing with it in the arts. Yeah.
It's like, mental illness and addiction are really
Huge.
difficult. Yeah, they're huge. And I've had so many players talk about both on the show that we got so much email about that I wound up, because we put the audio on YouTube, I wound up making a separate playlist just for like recovery stuff. That's literally the most popular, because I wanted, because I'm getting all this email. Okay, well, I got to make this accessible. Absolutely. I have had family who've had issues. I totally get it. I understand it. So it's an important cause. Let me make it accessible, easier to people. So that's the most popular playlist. The other thing is, I thank you for the courage to talk about that. That is, and I notice this is what, it blows me away. When I ask a woman, that's a guess, what were some of the challenges? It's totally open and right there. Not so with guys. And I don't know why. I don't know, maybe if there's some guys will, but statistically, I know the number of men who are impacted with addiction, mental illness is no different than the number of women who are impacted with abuse, mental illness, or addiction. Yet the percentage of women who open up about, they're being honest, like, hey, this is the shitty things that happened to me. It's much easier for women to discuss that. And I always really is, I don't know why, but I think
we're socialized that way. I mean, men are so socialized that they have to be strong, and they have to hide their weaknesses. I feel like, at least in American culture.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but artists, I mean, look at somebody like Chris Cornell. I mean, I that just blew me away when, well, and now some people are saying, okay, his family is saying that wasn't suicide. So maybe it wasn't suicide. Maybe that was accidental. But he had a horrible addiction problem that killed him. Yeah, either way, whether or not he was depressed, he was using substances in a way that was incredibly unhealthy, and it killed him. And I actually wrote a song. I haven't recorded it yet, but it's called "If I Had Your Life." Because I'm like, if I had your life, I wouldn't piss it away. Like, that's how
But that's not how he was feeling.
No, exactly. And by the end of the song, I get back towards, if I had your life, I probably couldn't see past was the lyric. I probably couldn't see past the frosted glass of my new friends' limousines. Right. People are so isolated at the top. And that's the one thing, I live in LA. I have a lot of friends who play or have played with major rock stars. And they are very isolated, usually, because once, and whether it's a rock star or a movie star, celebrities, just because of the nature of what happens when you get really ultra famous, people want things from you, and it's hard to know who to trust. Oh God! And everyone's asking, not even just strangers and acquaintances and friends, but family. And it can. I mean, not that I've always wanted to be famous. I've always wanted to be. Because I feel like that's more of an opportunity for me to play to bigger audiences. I love to perform live. So for me, fame is a tool to get to do what I do on a bigger stage, literally a bigger stage. However, fame for the sake of being famous, that's not something I would wish on anybody, because you just, at a certain point, you just become so isolated because it's hard to know who to trust.
Yeah. You also said something. So as far as depression goes, thank you again, because a lot of people are going through that. And I think this whole thing with medication, I know what you're talking about with perfectionism. I had a little bout of that when I was a kid, but I think it was more like OCD, from what I've read, is a manifestation of anxiety.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So for me, I think when I was going through it as a kid, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But I remember I would do things like what you just said, man, I wasn't as good as Jimmy Page. Well, as an adult now, you can sit and say, hello,
yeah, you were 14.
That's probably not a good, it's like saying, I just started playing golf, and,
Right.
Tiger Woods would crush me, and I don't accept that. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And he should, because he's had a completely different life. Right.
But I mean, so I get that, I get that sense of, now I don't give a fuck, to be honest with you, but which is healthier, to be honest.
Much healthier.
Yeah. I just like whatever, I do my best. If, I'm good as that's my barometer. Have I given 110%? If the answer is yes, and it's always yes, whatever happens, I can't control. But even
that, like, because I have a tendency to be a workaholic as well.
Yeah.
Giving 110%, that's still like what if we could be, I have a song on my last record called Enough for Me, which is basically therapy for myself. What if I could let it be? What if I'm enough for me? What if I don't have to work 110%?
Yeah. What if you just gave like 90 and took 10% off? You're right.
Taking a vacation, like as Americans, we're so workaholic and puritanical. I mean, our roots are so puritanical. It's like, and I fight it all the time because it's so ingrained in me, this whole workaholic, and I have a million things on my to-do list every single day. And it's like, it's like, what is life for?
Well, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And I'm really trying to work hard on that. Like, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I will. Up until probably, my kids are older. They're 20, almost 29, and I have a 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old granddaughter from him. Mm. My other son's 27 and my daughter's 19. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said your poor dad, because my daughter is like exponentially more difficult than the two boys exponentially multiply. So,
but not all girls are.
Oh, I didn't have any sisters. So that's my one baptism by fire. I have no frame of reference outside of her. And my wife is very easy. But I only like now when the kids come over, I hang out with them. I don't do anything, but that's only like a new thing for me. Like I would always like make a guest appearance and go back to work. And then I realized,
my dad was like that too more. And now he's such a softie now. I love it. It's so great. He's so much more demonstrative now. I mean, I think that also is okay. This is a funny thing. You asked me about like my low points or whatever. And I didn't, it's so interesting. I didn't even mention my cancer diagnosis.
Holy shit.
Really funny because but I was going to say my dad, ever since I got diagnosed with cancer, I think it really cracked open my dad. And my dad was always loving, but, and he was a great dad when he was around, which, during the divorce, that was very hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, since I was diagnosed with cancer as an adult,
When was this?
This is 5 years ago.
Are you okay now?
Yeah. I have cancer. I'm living with it and I'm great. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I have a very rare form of lymphoma, which is blood cancer.
Right. I know.
And it's not considered curable right now. I think they'll probably come up with a cure in my lifetime. I'm hoping, because science is amazing and they're coming up with incredible therapies. But right now, when I was diagnosed, I had to go through chemo, but it was not, because my cancer was very slow growing. I was able to do a chemo where I didn't lose my hair. I didn't throw up. It was still awful. And I couldn't move for about 2 weeks out of every month. But after 4 months, my numbers were much better. Now I'm on a brand new medication, and I take one pill a day, and it enables me to tour and to live like a life like no one would ever guess that I have cancer.
Holy shit. So do you have to go periodically, like every 6 months to look at your marker? Every 3 months?
Every 3 months, yeah, because I'm on what they call a subclinical dose of the medication, because it is a new medication. Like I don't,
so it's like like a test.
It's not really, well, it's been approved by the FDA. It's the first drug that's actually been approved specifically for my disease. But nobody really knows what happens after being on it for 20 years. So like, I'm not sure I want to be on it for 20 years, but I've been on it for like 2. And I just, I don't really know. So I'm trying to take as little medication as I possibly can and still keep the numbers down. Fortunately, I've been able to take about a 2/3 dose rather than the full dose.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, that's definitely been that threw me a curveball for sure, especially because we found it completely by accident, and I thought I was totally healthy. I, worked out every day and ate healthy and
Holy
don't
fuck.
smoke and,
Sorry, that's just like,
yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. So I can either, like, you can look at me and see me perform and whatever, and I'm totally, normal. Or I can say, I have incurable cancer. So, like you could milk it either way, but I prefer to look at it like I'm doing awesome. And, if the numbers start going the wrong way, there's a lot of different therapies that I can go on.
but you don't have to think about that right now, though.
I don't have to. I mean, there's certainly never been a day since I was diagnosed that I didn't think about it. Like, I've never had a day where I didn't think about the fact, like, wow, I have cancer now. That's really weird. But it's weird more than anything. I mean, it was scary in the beginning. In the beginning, it was very scary. But because I'm so lucky to have this type of cancer that is slow growing and that they have therapies for, and I'm not right now. I'm pretty asymptomatic. I mean, the biggest symptom is anemia. So, and that, which makes you tired. So, I'm closest to not being anemic than I've ever been in 5 years, which is really great. Yeah. So, so I just have to, watch, how I'm feeling and stuff, but you
gotta get on smoking that weed, to be honest with you.
I know.
No,
right,
seriously.
Exactly.
I mean,
hear everything.
Yeah. Holy crap.
But yeah, that was a whole other ride and very interesting. But in some ways, it really brought my family together, which was
your dad,
an unintended. Yeah, my dad and like everybody came down to visit me, and I mean, I have the most loving, wonderful family, so I'm really so lucky. And they all just it made everybody, I think, realize how lucky we are all to have each other, and that we are all still here. And
your two sisters are near you?
They're in Northern California, close to my mom. Yeah, so I don't have anybody other than I have a cousin in LA, but I get to see them pretty often. Wow,
my wife actually had cancer when we were kids. Well, kids. I'm 55 now, but she was 36.
Oh, geez. And how's she doing now?
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she's great. But so I've been through that, and I understand it took me. I haven't been through it. I've been through it.
No, but I think it's harder for the caregivers, honestly. A lot of the time,
it
can be, because they're so worried and there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they feel helpless.
Yeah, that was tough. But it took me, what resonated with me was it took me like a good 5 years till I didn't wake up every day. And that wasn't literally the first thing I thought of. Yeah. And now I don't think of it much, once in a blue moon, but thank God I haven't had to, and I hope I never have to, but wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's weird. But so, yeah, I wrote a song. I've only written one song about my cancer experience, and that was on my last record. It's called Let Go. And,
you wrote that for yourself.
I write pretty much all my songs for myself.
Someone's got to give you therapy that works.
I need to give myself therapy. And then it turns out that a lot of other people have the same issues that I do.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. It's funny because I'm not one of the reasons, I interview a lot of like really well-known players. I'm not a guy that gets starstruck because everybody's the same. I mean, somebody may have performed or worked a certain thing in an expertise, but like get cancer. You tell me how different you are. As an example, your kids don't listen, you got too much shit on your to-do list, you got to manage your relationships. I mean, it's like, and something like that, on the very, very rare situation where I do talk with someone that's kind of arrogant, I'm sitting in the back of my head thinking, man, where do you get a bad medical diagnosis? And I don't wish that on anybody, of course, but you'll see that this arrogance is really, really stupid.
Yeah.
Because
it really is. Everything that separates us is stupid.
It's stupid. Of course it is. It's like, man, so, but thank you for sharing that. And I really hope, of course, everything is is great with you, and I hope that this continues to stay in a low, range.
Me too. Yeah,
I have nothing else to say now. I don't even know what to say.
It's just, I don't even mention, like, a lot of my fans now that I have don't, like, my fan, when I was diagnosed, I told everybody, which I don't know that I would do that again, because you get some great things and some not great things from that.
What the hell is someone going to
advice? A lot. Oh my God. I live in LA.
Oh yeah. I have a healer.
Not just that, but people telling me that, like, the Western medicals, like, they want to keep you sick and all these conspiracy theories. I'm like, you know what? My doctor, there's nothing he wants more than for me to be well. And the people and I've met the people who are researching cures for my disease. They want to they have family members who have died of cancer. Like, they do not want to keep me sick. Like, I know the pharmaceutical industry is not all roses and stuff, but
no, they're horrible. But that doesn't mean your guy or your doctor is horrible.
No,
I mean,
and it doesn't mean that everyone in those companies is horrible either. No. There are people who are really looking for cures, and I don't buy that. And it's super unhelpful to people who have cancer and are whatever modality they're choosing. It's super unhelpful to, tell them what they're doing is not good. Like, when someone's going through chemo, for someone to say, like, they just want to keep you sick.
They just want to keep you sick,
No, actually, they want me not to die. And that,
That's the problem with social media. It's like, for some reason, everybody thinks now, and I feel okay saying this because I don't ever do this, that, like, my opinion has to be heard.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you. No, it doesn't. You could tell that to your wife and kids, or your husband and kids. I mean,
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're right.
I know. And it's really hard. And especially with the politics and everything, like,
oh, I know. It's crazy.
I have a song that I wrote called Love More, which is trying to bring people together, because, I am definitely, lefty, tree hugging, liberal musician, but I have a lot of fans and some friends who are not. And you can despite popular belief, like, you can be friends with people who don't believe in everything that you believe.
Of course.
And there can be nice people, but we have to start listening to each other and trying to understand each other, but from both sides,
And right means right for you.
Yeah.
Right doesn't mean, of course, there's certain basic rights, like you shouldn't murder people, but But
even there, it gets tough. I really don't want to debate this, you shouldn't murder people, but, like, how do people feel about abortion? Like, some people think it's murder. Some people think it's a woman's right. Like, and I'm very much pro-choice and for my own reasons, but we need to be able to just talk to people without screaming. And I don't think it's possible to do that on social media. I think that's a face-to-face thing. And it's an understanding,
And most of that has been removed, face-to-face conduct for unfortunately.
Hard. Yeah. And I think that's where music can be really powerful, is telling people stories. And, why do I believe what I believe? And why do you believe how you believe? And even if we don't agree, maybe we can understand where the other person is coming from. And I think that's probably the best we can do, but we're so far from even doing that.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, because there are such wonderful people all around the world, and they don't necessarily all agree. But,
well, not only that, the pain of the energy you put into creating stress will do a lot worse. Will, you know what I'm saying? If you took that same energy and, like, just put it into something good, your whole life would be different,
Yeah. Well, and the people who kind of spew all that hate and vitriol, I really don't envy them. I can't think that they're happy.
No, they're not. You can't be happy.
Whatever troll,
goes in, goes out.
The internet trolls are super fun.
Well, hey, let's switch to guitars, and thank you again for sharing all this. It was really interesting, and that was really courageous and very kind of you to share that. And I think a lot of people vibe with that are going through similar stuff. So thanks. It was really nice of you.
Shit, my pleasure. I actually, for me, it doesn't feel courageous. I just like to be open with people. So, and for me, it's just, I like to be close. I think, I create music to feel close to people and to have a connection. So for me, talking about things is kind of a natural
Yeah.
I guess I'm a pretty open person anyway. So,
but it's really, I think that takes courage. So thanks.
Oh, thanks.
So guitars, what's your go-to guitar right now? And what other couple would
My
round
custom
out?
shop Telly is my go-to right now.
That's the burst one in your in the
I
photo?
love it. Yeah.
It looks really cool. I've never seen a Telly looking like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. Oh wait, which one are you talking about?
The
one on the album cover?
Yeah, the one on the album cover.
No, that's not the one. So that one is a model. It's Richie Sambora?
Richie Kotzen, maybe?
Richie Kotzen, that's it. Richie
yeah.
Sambora. Yeah, it's a Richie Kotzen model. And I borrowed that for the photo shoot because isn't that one pretty?
Oh my God, it's so
Mine
saying.
isn't as pretty. Well, mine's still pretty. It's a burst, but it's not the same kind of yellow. But yeah, and actually I was thinking about, I really wanted I've always wanted a glittery guitar, and like I hate the whole like guitars made for girls and all that stuff, but I do really like sparkles. So how do I
I've seen a gold top with sparkles one time. But it wasn't like a girl guitar. It was a regular guitar.
No, yeah, there's definitely, and like Fender makes these the Duo Jet, and they make some that are sparkly, and they're called the Sparkle Jet. Those are cool. I played those when I was working with Fender. I played a NAMM show where, like, I had these songs where normally I would play my Les Paul, but clearly I couldn't do that when I was playing the Fender stage. So they led me this.
Imagine if you went up there with your Les
it.
Paul.
No, I would never do that.
What
I'm not a dummy.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. No, so I was like, what could I use that would have the same kind of feel and same kind of sound? And they said, here, try this. And I fell in love with that Sparkle Jet. So, but I'm not a guitar collector. Like, I don't buy a ton of guitars. I don't, I love what I have. And I do love getting inspiration from different guitars. And I would buy more guitars if I, was in that position. But
sure.
Really, when I have money to spend, it really goes towards furthering my career, which usually doesn't mean buying a guitar, unfortunately.
do you know?
Which is sad.
Do you know John Jorgensen?
No, I don't know
He's
him.
a great player. I think he's in LA somewhere, but I know LA is huge. He's gypsy jazz. He's just an amazing player. He was in the Helicasters. Anyway.
That's what. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the Helicasters, and he had. Every time he buys a new guitar, he writes a song.
Yeah, so he can justify it.
And so he justifies it. Yeah, he's always buying new guitars. He writes songs.
That's pretty smart. Yeah.
Any cooler, interesting stories behind how you got any of your guitars?
Cooler, interesting stories on how I got any of my guitars. Well, I mean, that custom shop Telly, so when I recorded my record, Make Your Move, I recorded it in my friend's. I did all the guitars in my friend Bob DeMarco's studio, and he's written tons of music for TV and film, and has made a wonderful living. So that he is the guitar collector friend that I have, who has every guitar known to man and every pedal and every amp. So we had so much fun just using everything that he had, and he documented everything. I'm not so much of a gear person, so like he documented it all, so I could like look it up and make songs. But I fell in love with one of his Telecasters, and I was endorsed by Fender at the time, and they had, I don't remember how it came about that they. Oh yeah, so we did. I was trying to like. I'm always trying to like, if I'm working with a company and endorse them, I'm trying to look for ways that we can all work together and like win. So like Mike Melenda at Guitar Player Magazine, he's been incredibly supportive of me and a lot of female guitar players throughout my career. And so he was, going to cover this release of this record. And so I was also documenting all the guitar stuff so that we could talk about it in the article. But so I got Guitar Player Magazine and Fender together on this, like, hey, let's do a giveaway of Ally's, of a guitar just like Ally's. And so,
that's cool.
Yeah, so we did that. And so basically Fender made me a custom shop Telly to the same specs as my friends that I had used on my record. And then we gave away another one of those to one of my fans.
Oh, that's great.
So it was really neat. It was really, really
very cool. Ever sell a guitar you wish you can get back?
Yes. Oh my God.
Go ahead. Tell me.
So sad. I have a picture of it. I got to send it to you.
What is it?
Okay. When I was like, I don't know, 15, I went to a store. I think it was in Berkeley, California. This guitar, my mother still has a picture of me. I was such a poser. Okay. I was like wearing like a bit. I have to send you the picture because I was such a poser. I could barely, I could not play very well, but I could play. It's a Fernandez Explorer with a dragon airbrushed on it. It is epic. Epic. And it was so heavy. I could barely stand up for I had never tried standing up for an hour. I mean, the most I ever played it standing up was while my mom was taking pictures of me in her driveway. I never played it at a gig or anything. It was so damn heavy, but it looked so cool. And the problem was with that Explorer body, also, I could not really sit with it either. So it didn't get a lot of action. Body. Yeah. So once I moved to LA, I needed money and I sold it, and I sold it to Guitar Center or something. I think I sold it to Guitar Center. I don't think I sold it to a private person, but I miss that guitar and I wish I had it back, and I don't know how I would ever find it again. Well, but I have a picture of it.
On the off chance you own somebody listening to this owns a Fernandez Explorer with a dragon airbrushed onto it.
It was all sparkly and red. It is so badass.
Contact Ally Handle on her website. There you go. I mean, seriously, why not?
That and my first Marshall stack it was a half stack that was modded by this guy. I can't remember his name. I think it was something like Mike Marshall or something. And oh my God. He modded it to be it was a mid 70s Marshall. Oh, it sounded so
is great.
Good. It was so good. Even still, yeah. And I sold it after I recorded my first record because that was so damn expensive. We recorded it to tape. We didn't use Pro Tools. We recorded it, to tape, and it was really expensive. And I needed money, and I regret it.
Well, such is life. Is unfortunately in the music biz.
Yeah.
Desert Island Discs. No particular order, just for today.
Oh, no.
Top
How
3.
many?
3.
3?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you're like, 3? You're ripping me off, man.
I can't. I don't know what I would choose. Oh my God. God, I just can't choose. I would just take Spotify and just,
Come on. There's no internet on the desert island.
There's no internet on the desert island? Well, I've saved a lot of songs to my Spotify, so as long as I had electricity, it'd be good. I could plug my phone in. Damn. I don't have a top favorite record. I mean, I guess I would say maybe Zeppelin 1.
Okay. Maybe
Zeppelin's first record. God. It'd have to be a Beatles, Zeppelin, and maybe James Brown or something funky. But that's just too hard. I can't pick.
That's it. You did it. Simple. Zeppelin, Beatles, James Brown. James Brown or Jackson Brown? What'd you say?
No, not Jackson Brown. James Brown.
Yeah, I love James Brown. He's so funky.
Not that I'm against Jackson Brown, but really James Brown.
No, I love James Brown.
It's got to be funky.
So these questions are tough.
That was the hardest question.
Touche. What do you like most about yourself?
Oh, what do I like most about myself? God, that's a weird question.
I know. I knew that would be tough.
Yeah.
Do you know who Adam Zimmern is?
No.
He's an LA cat. He had the best answer to that. He goes, "How can I answer this question with so much self-loathing that I have?"
I think what I like most about myself is my ability to have amazing friends. I have such a great friend network and family.
So you attract good people.
I have a good picker. I have a good picker for people, and for my husband is amazing, and so I'm good with picking out people and not picking out people, but just
no. You attract. Yeah. You have a good vibe.
I surround myself with nice people. People are. often people get really snotty when I tell them I live in LA, like, oh, I could never live in LA. The people there are so fake. And I'm like, you know what? Not my friends.
Yeah.
My friends are so real.
Well, I
Like,
mean, that's that's just
everywhere you can find fake people.
Good and bad people. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been with your husband? A long time?
13 years.
Oh, cool. Congratulations. Very
Thanks.
nice.
Yeah, that's pretty long
Sure.
for me. Yeah.
And how about the flip side? If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
It would have been that I had more confidence as a younger person. I think that would have changed a lot of stuff.
You know what? I read you read these things that, high school is your golden years. I don't know.
Oh my God.
With a rare exception, like, the star football athlete and the hottest girl in the school, outside of them two, I don't know anybody who's like really excited and happy about being a teenager. It's really difficult.
Oh, I would never go back.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. And it's funny because like I'm on my my high school's alumni group, and and they're very nice people. Don't get me wrong, but it's constant about the good old days. I'm like, God, I
really?
never think about this wasn't one fucking day that was a good old day for me. I wouldn't trade any part of my life to go back to them good old days. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think high school's a difficult, even my son, I've talked with him, my older son, about, he said, I felt lonely. I said, Nick, don't worry, man. Everybody did. I said, I did too. Yeah. Everybody does. It's a tough period of time, It
is really tough. Yeah.
And that's what all kids need.
Yeah.
Confidence. Something or someone you miss from your childhood.
I miss my Uncle Roger. He died in a car crash.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. When I was 13, he was like 30. Oh God, how old was he? 31.
So he's young.
He was young. And I got he gave me my first electric guitar. It was this 1961 Hagstrom Candy Apple Red.
Oh my God. I didn't know Hagstrom was around that long.
Yeah, and it's Candy Apple Red. And then when he died, my family gave me the guitar that he was playing, which is this kind of weird double cutaway Fender type thing. I actually brought it over to Fender to see, like, what is this? Because it had the neck seems real, but maybe the body was something that was either a copy or something. It was interesting. But anyway,
what did they say?
They couldn't figure it out. Yeah. They didn't really know. But he was gay, and he was like the first gay person I knew, and this was a lot of his friends ended up dying in the AIDS epidemic.
From AIDS. Yeah.
But he died before that in a car crash. That was not his fault. It was a truck driver, like, T-boned him, and it just ripped apart my family and my dad's little brother. And he was my favorite uncle. He was the sweetest, he was just so wonderful with me and my two sisters, and we just adored him. And I miss him.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, and that was a really long time ago. But
two sisters play music.
Yeah, they're both stay-at-home moms right now. But the middle sister, we all grew up playing piano, and then my middle sister moved to London. She lived in London for 18 years and started studying jazz piano.
Holy crap. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice little adventure.
She refuses to play for me. Yeah. And in England, she would take tests and stuff, with all these kids who were learning, but they have a very rigorous system there, and so she's taking tests and yeah, she's good, but she won't play for me. And then their kids are also really musical. And my other sister, was a singer. And her kids, my nephew, Aiden, has already played Carnegie Hall as a violinist.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, he's phenomenal and very serious. And then his sister, my niece, she also is a singer, and she's been doing all kinds of musicals. And so that's
great.
On my side of the family. And then my husband is also very musical. And our niece on that side of the family, I think she picked up the ukulele, and she's more into dance. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So they all look up to their auntie, I should say.
I think I'm crazy Aunt Ally, I try to live up to that name as much as I possibly can.
Good for you. I played at Carnegie Hall actually in like
really
1976. Yeah.
How cool.
It was
What
pretty
was that
cool.
about?
It was just, I grew up there was a band in the Bronx. It was a Bronx borough-wide band, and we just rehearsed every week or maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And that was where I was just lucky that year. That's where we played. And it was a concert, symphony orchestra. It was really, it was very,
amazing.
yeah, really rigorous. And it was very fun though. It was a nice thing I got to do. I really enjoyed I remember like it was yesterday, funny enough.
Oh, I went to see my nephew play there, and it was like
acoustics are great.
I had goosebumps. Yeah, the acoustics are incredible. It was just so exciting to see.
It's a real. And they used to have. I don't know if they do it now, but we had a book that you had to sign in.
It
was this massive, like the size of 3 phone books, like in length and in width, and it was just really cool. You had to sign your name and.
Yeah, you can see all your heroes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Most important thing your dad taught you?
Well, he taught me how to change a car tire, but honestly, I don't remember that.
That's probably not the most important thing, I would imagine.
You know what? The most important thing, and he taught it to me through music. He taught me about racism in this country through the Bob Dylan song Hurricane. And
Hurricane Carter.
Yeah, Hurricane Carter. And he also taught me about boxing. I like to joke that I was named after Muhammad Ali, which I wasn't. I was named Allison. But
oh, okay. Oh, she really Allison.
I'm an Allison. But no, he took my sisters and I driving. We were in the car. We used to listen to a lot of music in the car. And he also taught me, he plays music and he's a music fan. And so he's very cool. Passionate about music. Yeah. But he played the song Hurricane Carter, which if anyone listening isn't aware, which a lot of people are not, Bob Dylan wrote a song about a professional boxer whose career was cut short because he was accused of a murder that he didn't commit. And there was a lot of racism involved in the arrest and the trial. And the song is an amazing song. Great and my dad explained it to me and explained what the different words meant that I didn't understand. And what happened and what was so incredible was, so Hurricane Carter was in jail for 20 years or something.
Long time.
He recently got out. My husband is a professional magician. And
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And he's an incredible fingerstyle guitar player also.
Oh, that's so cool. So you guys, that's good. So you have a lot of hobbies or passions that you share.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
he
wild.
does Michael Hedges stuff, better than Michael Hedges.
Wow.
Amazing. So he was totally classically trained. I was totally from the rock thing. But he got hired to perform at a party, a boxing related party in Las Vegas. And I went with him. And Hurricane Carter was there.
Wow. What did he
look
like?
Him.
Well, I mean, physical condition.
So the people, this is what's so interesting. The people who were there were a lot of boxers there who were just retired or whatever. They were in horrible condition. Horrible. Hurricane was amazing because he'd been locked up for 20 years.
Because his career, he didn't get beat up. Yeah.
He didn't get his brain beat to shit. So sadly, all this time in jail, I guess happily, he came out of it with his brain and I told him the story about my dad. I got his autograph from my dad and then told him that that's how my dad taught me about racism and injustice in this country. And it was really meaningful for me to get to meet him after all this time. Really cool. And of course my dad was thrilled. And I was so happy that he looked so amazing. He looked great. That's
so cool.
Yeah,
that's a really good story. This is a great movie. Have you seen that movie with Denzel Washington playing?
Oh, what's it called?
Hurricane.
Oh my God.
It's a great movie. Yeah. It's been around quite some time. Very good movie. Yeah. Denzel's in the lead. How about your mom? Most important thing she taught you?
Oh gosh, she taught me everything. Just to be kind, really. That kindness is more important than other things. It took me a really long time to learn that. I'm still trying to learn that.
It's a work, and we're all works in progress, right?
Yeah, she's a really good example. It's sometimes to a fault, but she will be kind and not argue, you know, and which is really, you know, she's the most thoughtful person I know.
That's sweet. Do you have any non-musical superpowers?
Oh, do you have any non-musical superpowers? I mean, I am really good at giving fluids to cats, as I said before.
I guess that's a superpower. Yeah.
I'm a cat whisperer. I don't know. What is the superpower?
Oh, I don't know. It's different things that you're really good at. You know?
I'm really good at mushing my kittens. Yeah. I get my kittens to jump like 5 feet in the air when I play with them. I don't know if that counts.
Good at giving fluids to cats.
Well, actually, I do. I go over like my friends when they're out of town. If they need someone, I'll go over and I'll be like Nurse Ally to their cats.
Oh, the cat whisperer. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm, you know, like cats who normally hate people tend to like me.
Hey, so I got 3 questions left for you. What's the best thing that ever happened to you?
Oh my God, the best thing that ever happened to me? I think that I was born. I feel lucky that I was even born. It's such a crapshoot. I feel lucky to just be here.
You've gone through some of these. I'm trying to think of an interesting question. Toughest decision you've had to make?
Huh. Maybe. I mean, I've had a lot of tough decisions. Maybe the toughest one, the one that was very hard for me to make, was when I was a senior in college and I was really unhappy. It was very scary for me to kind of not take the safe route. For me, taking the safe route would have been to go and get a PhD and continue getting good grades and get a steady job and all this. And to really go for being a professional musician, that was a really hard choice that for me to make, even though it was definitely the right decision. It's still, you know, it's scary every day. You know, now I know that there's nothing in life that is secure. So you might as well do what you love. But even if you are, you know, some things are a little more secure than others.
Sure. Well, I think that's a real tough decision, you know?
Yeah. But I'm so glad I did. I mean, if I hadn't, I would have been the most miserable person on the planet. You know, I was so unhappy, and I am so much happier now that I'm following my passion. And I don't think you have to do something full time to follow your passion. Like, I have a lot of fans who, you know, because of family obligations or whatever, they took a straight job, but they still love playing music and they still have a band that they play on the weekends. And as long as you're playing or you're doing whatever it is, at some point, you know, maybe a little bit every day or every week, and you're not denying yourself completely, I think that's the most important thing. And you don't have to be doing it for a living, or you don't have to be doing it in a certain way in order to be still doing it. You know, there are enough people that aren't doing it at all that I think people should give themselves a break and like acknowledge that, you know, they're still doing it.
And you got to play that back for yourself.
I know. I do. I need to write a song about that. Still doing it.
And last question, biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that is intentional and how much is just a part of aging?
Oh my gosh. I think most of the changes in my personality are intentional because I'm very intentional about that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I think I try to be more, my husband might argue, hopefully he's not listening. Try to be more open-minded and accepting of other people. But it's hard for me. I'm very judgmental normally, and I'm trying to be less judgmental.
Well, I mean, I know that you know this already. You know, when you back off on yourself, it's a lot easier to, you know, accept others, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to be less judgmental. And it's hard because I've been trained to be pretty judgmental my whole life, and it's not a good way to be.
Well, it's just when you don't judge yourself that much, it's a lot easier to, I think. Not that I'm like an expert, but, you know, I used to be pretty judgmental. And when I started getting easier on myself, I became a lot less judgmental for others. So.
Yeah. And, and I find also as I get older and have more experiences where, hey, I'm not so perfect myself. Like, it's a lot easier to be easier on other people when you're like, yeah, I'm not always doing the, perfect thing.
Yeah.
So.
It's hard to.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I can't thank you enough. You're really sweet. It was very nice of you to share some of the things you did. I think it was a big benefit. I think a lot of people are going to get stuff out of this. I wish you're brave. You're a very nice, very brave woman. And I wish you nothing but great health, most important, moving forward, and come back anytime, next record or whatever. And,
thanks,
keep us updated.
Definitely, let's keep in touch for sure.
Let me tell people where to find you. It's Ally Handle. I always sound like I'm saying Spanish, Alejandro. It's Ally. It's the Bronx thing in me. Ally Handle, ALIHANDAL. First of all, what I would like you to do is sign up to Ally's mailing list at allyhandle.com. She also has a Facebook page, Ally Handle Music, and an Instagram at Ally Handle. She's got a single coming out very shortly after this episode drops. Please check it out. It's called Devil in the Rear View. What is that about?
It was actually originally written to be the end title for a film, but that didn't end up happening. So we just wrote it anyway. So
very cool.
It's kind of it's using like a 1930s lap steel. It's really bluesy and slidey. It's great.
Well, I will look forward to hearing that myself. Devil in the Rear View. And also check out Ally's latest record. It's called That's What She Said. My favorite song on there is the last song. It's Last Lullaby. It's really, really pretty. And she wrote that, as she said earlier, for her cat that passed. But great album. It's got some funny stuff on there. Thank God for Birth Control. It's another good song. I love my pussy cat. And that's it. Any final words of wisdom or anything I missed?
No, I mean, I guess the one thing that I always like to let people know is you get what you settle for. And that's like my motto.
That's right. You get what you settle for. I agree with you. People will treat you as good or as bad as you want. I like that.
You let them. Yeah.
You get what you settle for.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thanks, Ally. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Everybody, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this interview, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much to Ally Handle for spending time with us. Check out Ally's new single, Devil in the Rear View, and sign up to our mailing list, please, at allyhandle.com. And make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get on our newsletter list so you and I can connect. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.